Hey everybody, JC here with another T&I toy review. And for today's review, I'm going to be taking a look at the brand new 6-inch scale Batman the Animated Series Clayface and Ventriloquist figures from DC Collectibles. Now the Clayface figure is a deluxe figure, so it comes in a larger type box. The box measures about 14.5 inches in length, and then the height of it is just under 8 inches. The Ventriloquist figure comes on a regular card back, so it's the same like we've seen with all the figures in the line. Both figures are clearly displayed. Down below you've got the Batman the Animated Series logo, and off to the side you have the name of the characters. Ventriloquist is listed as figure number 32 in the series, and Clayface is listed as figure number 30 in the series. On the backs of the packaging, we again just have the logos for the Batman the Animated Series. And then on the side it tells us that both figures were sculpted by Irene Mattar. Alright, let's get these open and take a look at what's inside. Okay, so here's a look at the figures outside the packaging along with the other contents. Now, first of all, both figures come with a little instruction sheet like we always see in this line, showing you how the various accessories work, and it shows you for all the figures in the particular wave. Both figures come with a figure stand, just like we always see in this line. You've got the white base with the turnaround images of the characters, and then you've just got that clear plastic arm, and you can do the arm forward and back and up and down, and it's just a little clamp that you put your figure in there. Now the larger Clayface figure, I don't really know if you need the figure stand. Probably is not going to work very well, but again, both figures do come with one. The Ventriloquist figure comes with 3 different pairs of hands, so you get a pair of closed-fisted hands, a pair of open hands, and then a pair of grip hands for holding the machine gun that he also comes with. He comes with the Tommy machine gun like you see him use in the cartoon, and this is done with just a light gray plastic. There's no paint applications on this, but I do like the sculpting detail on it. And then finally he comes with the Scarface puppet, and I like the detail on this. You've got the little scar on the side here, so I think that looks good, and he's got a little cigar sticking out of his mouth. Now the mouth does not actually move or anything. You can turn the head. You can turn the head to the left and the right, and no real up or down movement with the head. And then you can rotate the arms, and then the legs you can do forward and back. The legs are a little bit loose on my figure. I don't know if that's the case with all of them. The coat is done with a rubber type vinyl material, and then on the back here you've got this split, and you've got this little peg that you can see there just barely sticks out, and that's for sticking the figure in the basically onto the ventriloquist figure, sticking the puppet onto the ventriloquist. It just plugs in like a hand. Now I will say, you'll notice that you see some stress here on this rubber material where that's where I've pushed the peg in on the ventriloquist figure, and it's kind of caused that discoloration. So it would have been nice so it stuck out a little bit more so you weren't having to push on it quite as much. And real quick, I just wanted to point out, you can also rotate the wrist on the Scarface puppet. There's no hinge joints on the hands, but you can rotate the wrist there. And then to attach the puppet, what you do is you just remove one of the hands, and then you just plug in the figure there. And so like I said, you just kind of have to push it in. And again, it doesn't stay on there super good because that little peg on the puppet is just not that long. It would have been nicer if they'd made that little peg on the puppet a little bit longer. I know they wanted to make it so it looked like, you know, he actually was sticking his hand inside the puppet, so they didn't want the peg sticking out, but I think if they'd made it just a little bit longer, it would have been better. So for that Tommy gun, if you want, you can have the ventriloquist hold it with one of the grip hands. He doesn't hold it that great, and really he's not really the one that's supposed to be holding it. Scarface is the one that's supposed to hold it, but even he does have a grip hand for holding the machine gun, but the machine gun's a little bit big for him. The stock of the gun sticks out so far that it's hard to get him to hold it correctly. So the best way to do it is first remove the Scarface from the hand of the ventriloquist, and then put the gun in there. And again, you have to kind of slide that stock under his armpit and just kind of work it in there. So you can make it work, but it would have been nice, I think, if maybe they'd made it a little bit smaller, the gun. And then once you have him holding the gun, then you can reattach the Scarface puppet to the ventriloquist. So for the ventriloquist figure itself, I think they've done a pretty good job with this on the sculpting. I like the face sculpt. It looks pretty true to what we saw in the cartoon. I like the glasses, and I like this light blue color that they used on the lenses, and I like how his hair is sculpted on the back there. And then he's just got the little bow tie with the white shirt and the coat. Now I do have some scuff marks on my figure that were on it when I took it out of the packaging. Here on his arm, this looks like there's a little slit in the plastic, so I'm not sure what caused that. And over here on this arm as well. So hopefully that's just with my figure, but just wanted to point that out. And then he's just got the gray suit and gray pants and the black shoes. So for the Clayface figure, we get several different arm and head attachments. We get the regular head, which has an open mouth, and you can see his teeth, and he's got the yellow eyes. And the heads are done with just kind of a rubber type material. So I like the detailing on this one. And then the second one is more of a screaming. His mouth is wide open. He looks very angry. And again, this is done with just a rubber type material. And then to put the heads on, what you want to do is you've just got the little ball joint here, and you just pop on whichever head that you want to put on there. And then the figure also comes with 3 different lower arm attachments. So we get this kind of mud hook looking thing, and then we get an axe, a mud axe. And then finally we get a mud mace. And the mace has got this little chain, and then you've got the spiked ball. To switch out the arms, you just pull off the lower arm at the elbow there, and it just pops off. You got the hole on the lower arm and the peg on the upper arm, and then you just pop in whichever one that you want to use. And it doesn't matter. You can put any of these arm attachments on either the left or the right hand, so it doesn't matter which one you use. So for the figure itself, I think they've done a nice job with the sculpting, with all the layers of mud that you see on him. And again, very true to what we saw in the cartoon. Very basic paint applications. You've just got the brown plastic for the mud, and then he's got the yellow eyes with the black outline, and he's got yellow teeth, and then he's got a darker red color on the inside of his mouth on the head sculpts. But overall, again, I think they've done a good job with capturing the look of the character from the cartoon. So Clayface stands, if you have the screaming head on, stands a little bit over 7 inches, almost 7¼ inches. If you have the regular head, then it's just a little bit under 7 inches tall. Ventriloquist stands about 5½ inches tall, and then Scarface stands a little bit over 2 inches, about 2½ inches tall. Here's a comparison with the Batman, the animated series Batman figure, along with the Demon figure, which is another larger figure in this line. For articulation on Clayface, you can turn the head to the left and to the right. He doesn't really have any up or down movement with the head. Arms attached with your standard ball hinge joint there at the shoulder, so he can get his arm out good. And then he's got rotation there at the shoulder. Elbow is basically attached with the ball hinge joint as well, so he can bend his elbow about that much. And then he's also got rotation there at the elbow. He does not have any wrist articulation. He's got a midsection joint, so he's got rotation there at the midsection. He really can't crunch down very much, but he can look back there at the midsection. Then he doesn't have a waist swivel. Legs are attached with hinge joints, so he can do the splits about that much. And then he can get his leg forward about that much. And he can do his leg back about that much. He doesn't have any knee articulation, and then he's got rotation on the ankles, but no kind of ankle pivot or anything like that, and 2 peg holes on the bottom of his feet. For the ventriloquist, you can turn the head to the left and to the right, and you can move the head down. The whole head moves at the bottom of the neck. He really can't look back very much, but you can pivot the head to the left and to the right. Arms attached with your standard ball hinge joint there at the shoulder, so he can get his arm out about that much, and then he's got pretty good rotation there at the arm. Does not have a bicep swivel, has a single hinged elbow, so can bend his elbow about that much, and then he's got rotation there at the elbow, he's got rotation at the wrist, hinges on the hand, so good up and down movement there, no ab crunch, does have a waist swivel, but because the coat comes down over the waist, it limits that movement, so that's about as much as you can rotate. Has those side hinges for the legs, but again, because the coat comes down over the legs a bit, that's about as much as he can do the splits. He really can't get his leg forward very well, and he can do his leg only back about that much. No thigh swivel, single hinged knee, so he can bend his knee about that much, and then he's got rotation on the ankles, but no up or down movement and no ankle pivot, and no peg holes on the bottom of the feet. Okay, so that's my review. So overall, I like both of these figures. As far as the ventriloquist goes, my only complaint with it is how they have it where it attaches, the Scarface puppet attaches to the ventriloquist. It would have been nice if they'd made the peg on the back of the Scarface puppet a little bit longer so that it it doesn't create so much stress on that rubbery vinyl material of the figure itself. Also, the legs are a little bit loose on my Scarface figure, and I don't know if that's just with mine or if they're all that way. But otherwise, I think it's definitely a cool figure. Clayface is cool as well. I like all the different hand attachments and everything. And basically, if you're a fan of Batman the Animated Series and you've been collecting this line, I think you'll want to add both of these to your collection. So both of these figures are hitting comic and specialty shops now. We'll have a full image gallery up at toynewseye.com. There'll be a link in the video description below. As always, leave a comment. Let us know what you think. If you're so inclined, please like the video. Also, if you haven't already, please follow me on my Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram accounts. I'll have links to those in the video description as well. And until next time, I'll catch you later.